From Tally to Cali,
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.
One more corner pocket.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi.
And Corey Clark.
Wake up! It's Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Coming up on today's show, big old mailbag. Duke Cooper back. What does that mean? What does it mean for the numbers? Do numbers even matter anymore when it comes to scholarships? And we're generating discussion sparked by Cummins. Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, Tallahassee, Florida, cptallybar.com, the website, lunch specials, Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m., only $8.99. Still can't believe it. It's crazy. What are you going to do on your Thursday, everybody? You're going to have a cheesesteak sandwich, chicken or steak, your choice, as well as a side dish of your choice. Again, for only $8.99 from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. 2475 Appalachia Parkway. That's the physical address. cptallybar.com, the website. We love it over at the Corner Pocket. Warchant.com, the ultimate Seminole sports source. Leave us a 5-star rating and review. Hit the thumbs up. Certainly would appreciate it. This is probably the finale for the week. Next week, I will be out of pocket for a minute, but rest assured, I think it'll be all right. All the stuff you ever need to know will be over at warchant.com. We're also going to have a couple shows, Corey and I. We've got some interviews that we've recorded for you that will space out over next week. Some fun ones. I like the one that we did with James Tibbs. Big fan of that kid, Corey.
Yeah, I was too. Yeah.
Good dude. How are you, Corey? I'm a big fan of yours. How are you, man?
I'm good. I'm good.
Doesn't sound like it.
No, I am. I was trying to. The tow truck / suspended license is still hanging over me a little bit, but I think the tow truck part of it. They did recognize their fault maybe in really nice guy that's worked with me too when he found out that it was their fault for my car flipping out like it did. So I'm still waiting to get that final handshake with the money attached, the reimbursement, and then now I got to go fight the points on my license.
All right. It's been crazy to see all the replies of how many people have dealt with what you're dealing with right now. So you're not alone in the struggle.
Well, and then Ira tried to give me grief because that's what Ira does. He's like, I can't believe you didn't know that you're supposed to turn. I'm like, man, shut up. It's not like literally everybody I've talked to about is like, wow, you got your license suspended for that, and you were pulled out of a car that was insured,
right.
that was registered. They deplated it, even though it was insured. And I'm like, yeah, but yeah, it's obviously it's my fault for not reading my mail. I assume they sent me multiple notifications. That's all on me. Right. So I do take full responsibility. It's just. You see, I go on these YouTube rabbit holes while I watch like people like these cop body cam things on YouTube where these people will be driving on a suspended license for the 9th time. They'll fall out of the car. There'll be bottles everywhere. They'll cuss at the cops, and they'll be like, "Man, you got somebody to drive you home? You got somebody to drive you home? Can you get your car to your driveway? Okay, well, get back in. You see that?" And then I'm mostly a law-abiding citizen. And had to get my car towed. So still, but hey, could have been worse. We're all dealing with things in our lives, aren't we, Aslan?
Indeed. Since we last rallied together, everybody, some stuff has happened with Florida State. This is the mailbag show, Renegade Express. Also going to give away some swag. Well, not give away, but we're going to name a winner that'll be in a drawing to win some swag, courtesy of our great friends at Cummins. But let's dive right to question number 4. Noleboy02. Howdy, gentlemen. What do y'all think about Duke Cooper's return? Omarion Cooper. Will he be a starter or a rotational player? Regardless, welcome back, Omarion. Thank you guys for answering my question. Have a great day and go Noles. So yeah, Duke Cooper, at one point like a rising sophomore that we thought was going to maybe one of the next great defensive backs of this school.
He was really good in 2021, the last 5 or 6 weeks of that season. Really good.
Yeah. Leaves last year. They were going to move him to safety here at Florida State. He went through a couple practices, maybe the entire spring. I don't recall exactly, Corey, but I remember him going into the portal and going to Colorado. Now he's back in Tallahassee. I think rotational player, I'm guessing, and I'm also guessing safety. What do you think, I guess, maybe about his position and just the return overall?
Yeah, we're speculating, but we know they did want to do that, right? Didn't they do that last spring?
Yes.
So obviously there was a reason they tried to move him to safety. Part of it was Azarie. You had Azarie, Renardo, and Fintrell Cypress. Well, you still have Azarie and Fintrell Cypress, and Quindarius Jones is a player. So, again, I feel like he can come to Florida State, and there is a chance he's your starting safety. That other safety position isn't nearly as locked up as those two corner spots. So to me, it seems only reasonable that if he's coming back to Florida State, it's to play the position they want him to play last year. It wouldn't make sense. But I mean, I guess it could make sense, and maybe he's awesome at corner. He did get coached by Deion for a year. Theoretically, I mean, it didn't look like it, but with those scores. But maybe he got a lot better because he had the best that's ever done it, teaching him occasionally. But I would think he's a rotational. He's not a game changer, but he is a potential starter. And he also gives you the depth of a guy that can play both positions if you need him, and is an experienced piece.
Yes.
Because the one thing they don't – Shaheem is experienced. Azarie this is his third year in the system. Fentrell is second. They have some talent now. Conrad Hussey, Quindarius Jones, not a lot of experience there. Omarion can give you that experience where I don't know, maybe he's an Akeem Dent clone-type player. Akeem was more more consistent for sure, probably more important, more impactful than Omarion will be just because of his knowledge of the system. He'd been around 5 years and really good center fielder for the defense and didn't give up big plays. But maybe Omarion can fill that sort of role, a nice veteran with experience in the back end. But it doesn't hurt you. It doesn't hurt you to bring in someone like that. I think it only helps the competition, and I think it might give you a guy that if he's really, truly committed to trying to be a great safety, maybe he ends up being a pretty good safety.
Yeah, I like the experience part that you're talking about there because you like what you have with Shaheem, but then it's like Conrad Hussey and Ashland Barker. And I guess Devontae Brown, but you might be able to argue that you have probably yourself, if you're Adam Fuller, you have seen Omarion Cooper probably play better football than Devontae Brown has played. So why not bring the kid back? And this dovetails into questions I will get to later about scholarship numbers. I imagine he's not coming here on his own dime. I don't know if he's going to get the scholarship title, but I would assume that Florida State wouldn't bring him back just to, I would imagine him walking away from a scholarship at Colorado unless maybe he got cut by Deion to come here and pay his entire way. But I just think from a football production reliability aspect, if you ask Adam Fuller, I bet you he feels more confident in knowing what he knows about Omarion Cooper than he does Ashland Barker, Conrad Hussey, or Devontae Brown when the bullets start flying. That's just my theory. Yeah,
and I don't disagree. I do wonder if he had to, apologize, write a poem about his time in Tallahassee, and does Norvell be like, man, I kind of told you last April this was a dumb move? Do they make him run stadium steps? What's the punishment for leaving for a year and then coming back? This isn't normal, and I don't think. Number one, it says something about the kid that they would take him back because I don't think most of the guys that leave this program leave on the types of terms where they would be welcomed back with open arms, especially leaving for Colorado. It was an odd situation. It was an odd decision. It clearly didn't hurt Florida State. They went 13-0 without him. But he was one of those kids that I wrote about and talked about where he found out sometimes the grass is filled with poo and mud, and it ain't green at all when you leave Florida State. Well, he realized that, and he gets the opportunity to come back. But I think he's the exception, not the rule. Yeah. I think most of the guys that leave Florida State are not welcome back. So I do think that says something about him, and I think that says something about how they feel about him as a player and a person. Yeah.
And for whatever it's worth, last year, according to PFF, Devontae Brown played exclusively at cornerback, and he graded out at 57.5. Duke Cooper played exclusively at cornerback, and he graded out at 64. So take that for whatever it's worth in your grading. So it feels like to me, Duke Cooper is saying out loud, my bad, I made the mistake, please let me back. And then I think, to a lesser degree maybe not as dramatically, but I think the coaching staff, by getting Cam Riley out of the portal, linebacker originally at Auburn, committed over Florida State to going to NC State in the winter window of the portal, but has now left Raleigh. He's coming to Tallahassee. Told our Michael Langston he's coming to Florida State. 6'5", 240 pound, I think, 235 linebacker. I feel like that to me, Corey, is kind of the coaching staff maybe saying, all right, we probably still need some help at that position, whether it's maybe not hitting on guys in the portal or maybe there's some injury kind of concerns because, man, they play 4-2-5 primarily, and we like Lundy, and I know you got a bunch of kind of question marks behind him, but interesting, curious to find out that they go after him because when he first left Raleigh and put his name back in the portal, there was not a lot of hot and heavy communication, but here in the last 48 hours, it clicked, and now he's coming to Tallahassee.
Yeah, I think this is another thing where you're throwing a body at an issue, and it's not a huge issue. I don't think their linebackers are trash. They're not awful, but it's they're not proven. There's nothing about this linebacker core that's proven. DJ Lundy is the most proven, but he's. I'm not trying to kill the kid. He's not elite. He's a decent college linebacker, maybe. But now the beauty is you've got Nicholson, Cryer, our man from Alabama, who just
Sean Murphy.
Just escaped me. Yeah,
Sean
Murphy. Omar Graham. Is there anybody else I'm missing?
Did you say DeMarco Ward?
DeMarco Ward, yeah.
Jaden Parrish, Tamir Hickman-Collins.
There you go. So, and Cam Riley. So out of those six, the main six, which were Lundy, Cryer, Nicholson, Graham, Murphy, and now Cam Riley, you've got six guys to essentially play 2 to 3 positions. So the competition will be better. You don't look at a guy that's going into his last year of college football and has 109 tackles in his career as a game changer. But he's a depth piece that could end up, for whatever reason, being a decent player for you. And I don't say for whatever reason like he's been awful, but he clearly hasn't shined in his first 3 years in college, first 4 years in college. If he's only got 109 career tackles, Tatum Bethune had that in a year at Central Florida. But he's a guy that, again, he gives you a valuable, experienced piece in a room that doesn't have much experience. It's another veteran, not a ton of game experience, but he's been in college for 4 years, and there's a chance this could be his best year. Just like there's a chance it could be DJ Lundy's best year and Sean Murphy's best year. And if those guys can be just pretty good, the collection of the linebackers, it also I think expedites the growth of Cryer and Nicholson because they want to get on the field. And I think Cryer especially will be on the field. Nicholson too. I think they'll be on the field this year. But these guys will make it harder for them to get on the field, which is a good thing. It's just good to have an extra body to throw at a position that has so many unknowns. So I do like it. I like the depth piece. I'm not doing cartwheels. This is not Tatum Bethune coming over from UCF. It's not Braden Fisk or Jared Verse impact. It's a guy that has 100 tackles in his career. But it is a guy that adds – he raises the floor just a little bit more. Both of those guys do, right? Yeah. Omarion and Cam Riley, probably neither one of them – maybe neither one of them are NFL players. Maybe neither one of them start this year. But again, they played enough college football. The floor of this program for 2024, the floor of this team, I think gets raised a little bit. Don't know if the ceiling goes any higher, but the floor gets raised. That's not a bad thing.
All right, let's get to roster management. We got a lot of questions.
Was that the first question?
What's that?
Was that the first question?
Yeah, the Duke Cooper thing, and then we also
buddy, I apologize. We got to speed up these answers, Clark. That was a 12-minute answer.
Old Dad's and Noles says, wake up, got my first shipment Monday from Vitamin Energy. Can't wait to try it and proud to support the sponsors. Thanks, Old Dad. Appreciate it, man. Hopefully use the promo code WarChant BOGO. 3 days before spring, I asked you guys what you thought. 6.5 players over, under, out. 3.5 players in, over, under. You both said over. That's easy on the 6.5. Not busting your chops, but being wrong. Being wrong, just generally asking what happened and how will so many be on the team. Wartown Noel. First off, he wants to say that we're solid gold when it comes to FSU podcasting, second to none.
There we go. Thanks,
Thank you. Appreciate
What'd
that.
you say his name was? Wartown
Noel.
Wartown Noel. Nice. Okay.
I like that line that Tibbs dropped in our interview, too, about light tower power.
Yeah.
Baseball's got such cool term, slang and vernacular. Anyhow, I digress. Wartown Noel, he and his son, they listen and they converse on our viewpoints. Wake up, bringing people closer, one family at a time. On to my question. We got NIL in place. Isn't it easier to put somebody as a PWO, that's preferred walk-on status, that is just outside of scholarship talent, without having hard feelings and wanting to leave for greener pastures? Seems like NIL could allow a 100-plus viable player roster. Is that what we are witnessing? You guys are awesome. Warchant's awesome. Go Noles. Grumpy BK says, as Old Dad and Wartown touched on, my explicit question is, how do you think we are going to address scholarship limits? I know the numbers always work themselves out, but this is the only time I can remember not seeing a clear path to how. One answer, we dismiss scholarship players from the team in the summer and fall with no landing spot. That does not feel very Norvellian. Another option is a loophole is being worked. NIL replacing scholarship funding, ? Other things may be going on as well, ? I think you nailed it, Grumpy BK, right? I don't want to say it. I don't get anybody in trouble, but it feels like what we're seeing is more than 85 guys, and you're going to find ways to make them feel as valued as a scholarship player. Yes?
It's odd. This question was asked on headlines, and Ira's point all along was like, who cares? What does it matter? They always find a way, and nobody's counting scholarships anymore. However they end up making it work, they will make it work. So it's not your scholarship money, so what do you care how they do it, how they go about doing it? They'll keep whoever they need to keep. And I don't think it's Norvellian at all just to tell a kid he's not on the team anymore. I don't think there aren't going to be any cuts.
Yeah.
Because that would have had, frankly, that's what I thought was going to happen after the spring game. Not cuts, but them going to players being like, look, man, we don't really have a spot for you anymore. Please get in the portal, and we'll help you find a home. We'll talk you up, but you've got no way to play here. But none of that happened. They lost one guy. Like we said, we thought it would be over 6.5. They lost one. I mean, Greedy counts, but we already knew he was gone. And same with Josh Burrell. After the spring game, we thought it'd be like 6 or 7 guys. It was one, which is very surprising. And they just brought in 2. So, yeah, the numbers don't add up. I think – but my point to that, to Ira's point about it doesn't really matter is, well, it doesn't. They'll find a way. They are going to get the 85 or 90 on this team that they want, and whether they're paid through NIL or academic scholarships or something deferred, whatever ends up happening, they will make it right. They know going in what their numbers are. But as guys that have covered college football for the last 20 years, and I've been a fan for 40, it is odd. It is something we want to bring up. Like we've been told for decades, got to be at that 85 limit, got to be at that 85 limit, and now apparently there is no limit. So it does make sense that people are questioning it. It's not like an issue like, oh God, you're not going to sleep. You can't sleep at night until you figure out how they get to 85, because we don't know how any of this works behind the scenes. But it is odd. I'll just admit that. That's me saying I don't have an answer. I don't know. But right now, I think if you counted scholarship, what we think are scholarship football players on this team, is it 90, 92?
Yeah.
I don't know how many they have, but they have more than the allotment, and now we just throw our hands up and be like, well, they'll figure it out. When for so long we've always wondered, well, you can only recruit 21 here because you only got 22 spots available. Now it seemingly doesn't matter, because what matters in this world anymore? Nothing.
Yeah,
there are no rules. There are no rules.
That's the problem.
Quit living like it's 2012. Yeah. There ain't no rules anymore, gang. Just smile.
That's the thing. It's just there's a competitive, I don't want to call it spirit, but like at least we knew everybody was kind of operating under the same rules. And now that we're going to have rosters bloated with maybe literally like 100 players that are almost scholarship caliber, and it's, well, hey, my team, my favorite team can afford it. Yours can't. Sucks to be you. Like, I don't know. I mean, at some point, don't we want this to be a competition on who can evaluate, who can coach, and not who's got the most?
What's the matter with you, Aslan?
I don't know. I'm crazy.
If Florida State has 97 legitimate scholarship football players and they're playing teams that only have 80, well, that's an advantage.
I know.
If you can afford to do it, then do it. It's just like all those SEC teams having 100 quality control analysts.
Well, that's
an advantage.
That's why people didn't like the Yankees a lot, And
I know. Well, but I don't. Florida State to me is like the A's in the early 2000s. Like, they're not the Yankees. They're doing more with less. They don't have SEC money yet or Big Ten money yet.
I mean, they're beating out
the NIL is really helping them. But my point is, I think they've just gamed the system better so far than other people have. Now that will wear off eventually. The Oakland A's still haven't won a World Series with Billy Beane in charge. People figure it out and catch up. But in the moment, they're gaming that they have gamed the system really well when it comes to the portal and NIL, and apparently scholarship counts.
Well, I just wonder, and then we'll move on here. Like, you made the good point earlier in the week when we talked about DJ and Cam Ward, and you seemingly wanted Cam Ward, you valued him above DJ. It didn't work out that way, but by getting DJ, maybe you had more flexibility in roster management to add a couple more players that you otherwise would not have been able to had you gotten Cam Ward. Well, what's the line between player 86 and 92? How much of your resources are going towards keeping guys that are third on the depth chart at their position happy here? Could you have used that money that would have gone to player 86 and 92 to have gotten a player that might have been the 23rd best player on your roster if you allotted some more leverage there, you know? I mean,
no idea. Yeah. Literally no idea. Like, you know what I mean? We have no idea what I'm not even saying a name. Just pick the 14th best offensive lineman on this football team. A guy that's third string barely, or he's running with the threes. I have no idea what he gets paid. Couldn't even speculate. Is it $5,000 or $50,000 or $100,000? I have no idea.
Yeah.
But if it's $5,000, well, you can add up 6 or 7 $5,000 deals, and that's not going to equate to bringing in a starter.
I mean, but the scholarship, though, right? I mean, if you're not on scholarship, like, you're not just going to be like, all right, $5,000, cool. That will only pay for one semester. Like, I got to pay for books. I got to pay for an apartment. You know, the things that you get when you're on scholarship, room and board. These sort of things, have to be part of the equation when you're giving these kids a PWO status, I would imagine.
Well, look, put them on the basketball team. Give them basketball scholarships because they clearly have some openings. They have 5 roster spots left, I think. Maybe they're not going to even fill them. So put those bottom 5 on the football team. Just make them basketball players. Yeah. Well. Everybody wins.
All right. Seminole life. Wake up, fellas. All things staying normal this season. DJ graduates at the conclusion. No injuries to any of their backups. Who takes the first snap game 1, Bama 2025? Brock Glenn, Luke Kromenhoek, the field.
Are they playing Bama?
I think so, right? Isn't that the first game in New Doak?
I figured they would nix that, especially if they're starting their Big Ten schedule.
Let me look that up. I was putting words in Seminole Life's mouth. He just said the first
seems
snap
right.
game
I know
1.
Bama's coming up. I thought Georgia was first, but maybe Bama is. It's a good question. I'm going to say
it is
Brock Glenn. I'm saying Brock Glenn.
Ooh. So why was DJ ahead of Brock after week 2, Corey, do you think? Was he, or like all along, like why is it? It's because DJ has experience.
Yeah, well, and also I thought by week 2 of spring, DJ was clearly better. Okay. He seemed to be coming into it. He played much better. The first week was a push, I thought. The second week he was better. So, yeah, it's 5 years first, 2 games.
Yeah.
I think that's why he was number 1. We knew it all along.
Well, I asked that because Brock's not going to probably have a lot more starts this year. He's got a lot more practices under his belt. So, like, what changes that you feel really good about Brock in 25 that, listen, you're not going to see another guy in the portal that's leaving after 2-3 years that's really good, and you're like, well, shoot, I think that might be better than Brock.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's just a gut I have about that kid. I think there is something kind of unique about him. I'll never get over, and maybe it's a bad thing. It probably is, now that in hindsight, that he came into that Florida game and checked into a pass. I mean, when Tate got knocked out. In the game and the season, and the undefeated season is on the line, and he's throwing a sprint-out pass. Just on his own. First snap ever in an environment like that. Decides to change the play into a pass. Gets deflected. Just the balls and the confidence, usually that works out well, but sometimes it can be a disaster. But I just feel like he had all that confidence to do that. But he played Louisville and wasn't very good. And then he got humiliated by Georgia. I think the balls it took to do what he did against Florida in the cojones, I guess it's a family show, the testicle fortitude that he showed to do that. Then to get humbled about what college football really is. Like, he won the Louisville game, sure. I mean, Braden Fisk and Verse and Toafili won the Louisville game. He just didn't lose it. And then to go into the Georgia game and see what that looks like, I think that can be like the one of the biggest motivational tools any quarterback has ever had, any talented quarterback has ever had. I think he's got the gumption. He's got the right level of gumption. Maybe he needed to be humbled a little bit. And I don't know any inside knowledge. I just feel like maybe everybody needs to be humbled a little bit. Now he knows how much better he's got to get. I think this will be a really a pivotal year for him. And I just have trust. He's got talent. He's got arm talent, and he can really run. I just think he's got some ability to go along with some personality,
moxie
that makes him, to me, the favorite to be the 2025 quarterback. But then Kromenhoek, Again, let me see more.
I was about to say,
obviously-
where's the ask me this in November?
Yeah, let me see more because again, I was highly impressed with him in the spring, but then he got hurt, as you guys all know, because he didn't play in the spring game.
Yep.
Not a devastating injury, but he wasn't able to practice the last, I don't know, and then he didn't play in the game. And what that looks like at the end of August will probably dictate how I answer this question then.
Just real quick.
Because he has some stuff to him, doesn't he?
Yeah. I know we can't spend too long on these questions. We got so many. We love everybody out there. But
Well, you just combined 3 into 1, right?
I did.
There you go. Nice.
Like, I think he's done after this year. But like if a Dylan Gabriel type guy was, I just think like if a guy like that is available, I think you probably take him over redshirt sophomore Brock Glenn, redshirt freshman Luke.
What
Cronenbach.
if Cade Klubnik is available?
No, we're good.
I
We don't
mean,
need
why?
that.
Hey, he's a Clemson guy. You just did it this year with a former Clemson guy. He's got 3 years of experience. He's played in bowl games. He's played in ACC championship games.
I say that now. Again, we're going to see whatever it is. We're going to see the fall practices. We're going to see them. I don't know how much we're going to see during the season. Like I never saw AJ Duffy take a leap. Like I don't know how much. We did. Coach said he thought Brock got a little bit better towards last year. I don't know how much of it we really saw though. But let's see how they look like when they come back in July and start practicing. And there might be some when they're fully healthy, and then that can give us a better feel for things. But it just you give me the field. I'm going to take the field a lot of the times. It's nothing, no shots against these guys. I really like both these guys. They're upside. I can see it.
I do too. Yeah, I really
can see
do.
it with both of them. Big B 7034. It's our guy Bakari. Good day, fellas. To me, this upcoming season feels very similar to 2022. Questions about whether a veteran quarterback can make the jump in performance. Will a transfer wide receiver be a hit and become a real threat? Will linebackers finally give us above average play? Who will step up and be the other safety? Things like that. If not the 2022 season, which offseason do you feel this one resembles the most? He appreciates our hard work. Shake it and take it. Eat it to CP. Go Noles. Thank you, Bakari.
Thank you for the question. I don't. The 2022 is a fine comparison. It works. I don't know that there's been another one quite. I guess that would be the one.
2015 transfer quarterback.
But it's just the quarterback. Like this year, I guess 2022 was similar, and you had guys transferring in that you didn't know a lot about.
But you lost so much talent going into 15. Like it was a hopeful reload, right? I mean, like.
Right.
Kelvin was long gone. Rashad is gone now. Nick O'Leary is gone. Like you lost. I mean, I don't want to compare Nick to Jaheim, but like you start looking at these pieces. But I think we feel so much better about this defense than we did the 2015 defense, although they end up playing pretty good statistically.
No, they were good. 2015 was good.
Yeah.
They were a good defense. They were much better than the 14 defense, weirdly. DeMarcus had a lot to do with that. And Ramsey, I think they took after Ramsey because he was just a dog. D-A-W-G. Holy moly. That Louisville kid still remembers. He thinks about that play every game. You remember that?
Yeah.
They did a bubble screen.
Yep.
Where the Louisville guy tried to block Ramsey and he just knocked his helmet off.
Yeah.
Just flew into him and knocked his helmet off.
You see
it
a
was crazy.
spirit. You saw the spirit like evacuate and leave his body.
Yeah, it reminded me of the Greg Jones run against North Carolina, where it's just like that kid will never get over that. That's going to be. Well, imagine in film room watching that. Like, who did you think you were blocking, man? That's Jalen Ramsey, and he plays like a psychopath. He doesn't take kindly to people trying to block him. So anyway, I like the 2022 comparison because there were unknowns like Verse coming in. Who were the other? Bethune coming in. You had all these pieces that the linemen, Johnny Wilson, Micah Pittman, Trey Benson. You had all these transfers that you didn't know about coming in. The difference is Jordan was a returner. Your quarterback was a returner. But I like the comparison because otherwise I don't think there is one that's even remotely similar because it's such a different age that literally you're going to have, Aslan, 10 starters on this team that weren't here last year.
Yeah.
That's not normal. That's not how college football has ever been. Usually when you're replacing 15 starters, you're replacing with guys that have been in the program for a couple of years that you've seen in bits and pieces. All these guys are coming from different schools that we haven't seen. So I think 22 is the best comparison. And other than that, I don't even know if there is one. Because, again, so the two they got Duke Cooper back and Riley from Auburn / NC State at linebacker. Does that mean it's 16 portal guys?
I think
that they're bringing in.
I think if you count Rizzi, it might be 17. But yeah, that sounds about right. I think 16 is the
and there's a chance. There's only 22 starters on a team. I wouldn't be surprised if 11 of these guys are starting. So half of your starting lineup is going to be guys that have never played football for Florida State before. So in that regard, it will be a little bit like 2022, but even more so, because I don't think it was 11 guys that that hadn't played for Florida State before that were starting. So yeah, it's going to be unique. It's a unique year.
So, but you're more apt to go to 2022 than to go to any post national championship season where you lost your quarterback, like 2001. I mean, that was a huge reset.
I don't think this is because you were going to frankly, guys that weren't proven and ended up not, plus the coaching staff, we can get into all that, guys that weren't proven taking over and ended up not being very good. Like, DJ is more of a known than Chris Ricks was.
Right.
And these, I think Malik Benson is more known than who would have been
Javon Walker?
Javon Walker, maybe. Talman Gardner, was he, or he's already gone?
No, Talman Gardner was for 21.
Yeah,
no.
So guys like that, I think that you, in the running, I just think it's more, they're known commodities, they're just not Florida State known. Right. That 2001 was a straight-up reset. You thought, and it wasn't the best coaching staff. You thought they were so supremely talented it wouldn't matter after the reset. Oh, you just reload. Well, that didn't happen. But I think this is not quite similar because you're not replacing superstar NFL players with redshirt freshmen. You're replacing a lot of them with redshirt juniors.
Well said. Let's go to Mark, our winner from last week, or rather our winner for the month of April with a Cummins swag bag. Mark's here, everybody. It's a long one, so let me parse it down as best I can on the fly here, Corey. Let's say that the portal is back open for a week. Let's operate in terms of what Florida State's roster currently is and the positions of need they have. But let's say magically the portal's back open. Mike gets a week to work on things. He can only add 4 players, but they have to be one player from each of the following decades, the 80s, 90s, 2000s, and the 2010s. You can only pick one player from each decade. He says 80s, this is Corey's wheelhouse. He says maybe you go defensive back, Leroy Butler, T-Buck, Dion options. 90s, he says, let's go after a linebacker, Marvin Jones or Derek Brooks. But then, hey, you have quarterbacks, obviously, Charlie and Chris. Warwick Dunn, by the way, Peter Warwick as well. 2000s, Alex Barron, Rodney Hudson, maybe Darnell Dockett. 2010, big list obviously there as well. Who would you go with this roster right now if you could add 4 players, one from each of those decades? Let's start with the 80s, Corey. Who would you add onto this roster?
Let's go with what's the biggest position of need, do you think?
What do we say? Wide receiver, right?
But I think safety maybe too. But yes, wide receiver. But I'm not picking from the 80s for wide receiver. So I think Leroy Butler is your safety. Even though he was an All-American corner at Florida State, he dabbled with safety. So yes, I take the Hall of Famer and put him in my defensive backfield as the safety. So Leroy Butler gets the safety nod.
Okay. 90s. Who are you taking?
Do you take Marvin or Derek Brooks?
Or do you take Peter Warwick?
No, we got other guys we can get in the 2000s.
Oh,
yeah.
Love you, P-Dub. In this day and age, probably Derek Brooks.
Okay, so now we've added a Hall of Fame safety and a Hall of Fame linebacker, maybe the best outside linebacker of all time. I like where we're going. I like the holes we're filling here, gang.
We can start looking at the Final Four games and booking some air travel at this point,
no
right?
lie.
All right, 2000s, the lost decade.
Hey, now that's putting us over the scholarship limit some more. We're up to 94 now. Gotta do some finagling. So now we're in the 2000s?
Yeah.
Who?
Alex Barron, Rodney Hudson, Darnell Dockett, Travis Johnson, Cam Wimberly. Had some defensive little rush end. But we got to think of needs, right?
Yeah, there's
Anquan.
needs.
I'll take Anquan for my wide receiver.
I don't know why I'm leaning this way. There's so many to choose from, but I'm kind of leaning towards Antonio Cromartie.
Okay, so you gave up on Deion Sanders to take Antonio Cromartie. Got it. You're my GM for life.
Needed a safety. Needed a safety more than we needed a corner. We got Azarie and Pintrell, baby. Plus, who knows if Deion's even going to play? He's gonna, he got no love for Florida State. But also Cromartie, I think in this day and age, we let him play a little receiver too.
Okay.
And he's a kick returner.
I'll take Dockett just because I feel like, man, Farmer, Darrell Jackson, Darnell Dockett, solid. That's strong.
Broderick Bunkley too. Yeah, Dockett in the middle is a problem. Yeah, and we already went past Walter Jones.
All right, 2010s, the 10s.
I've just added defense. I got to go get an offensive player, so I'll do
Rashad.
I guess.
I mean, what's so disrespectful? Like, I guess.
Well,
like, I just signed all these Hall of Famers, and now I have to get.
I can't take Jameis.
You could, yeah. I mean, shoot, we need quarterbacks. You can take whatever you want, man.
Yeah, I'll take Jameis, but then I take Jameis with the note that Cromartie is going to play a lot of wide receiver for me.
Okay.
So I wanted a weapon on the offensive side of the ball for Jameis to help with Jameis. I think Cromartie could be that guy.
VitaminEnergy.com, promo code
Who
is
was yours?
Man, we need a receiver, the best receiver available in those decades. Man, I'm probably looking at it all wrong. Give me Peter Warwick. I think we need another defensive lineman. So give me Darnell Dockett. That'll be my 2000s. So those are scratched off. Safety, we can use some help. I'm going to go Greg Reed, 2010s. Go off the board.
Not LaMarcus?
Well, I mean, multi-position. Who's going to return punts right now? I don't even know. I guess Malik Benson. And then from the age, just give me Dion.
Well, then there's your punt returner.
Well, that's true. Yeah. All right, fine.
That's good. What a battle. What a battle that will be for punt returner.
LaMarcus is back. VitaminEnergy.com, everybody. Promo code is Warchant BOGO. Warchant BOGO. Buy one, get one free. Old Dad's a Nole hopping along the shake it and take it wagon. Maybe half shot, old dad. Start off with a half shot because it's 260 milligrams of all natural caffeine, which is going to get you going for 7 hours of your day, which is a large part of your workday, everybody. Hopefully it's not your entire workday. Hopefully it's less than that. You have to work and be who you got to be. It tastes great. It's clinically proven, clinically tested. Also nourishes your body with multiple vitamins and nutrients depending on the variety that you pick. So many to choose from. That's why I recommend the variety pack, everybody. The Focus Plus is in there. The Immune Plus is in there. The Mood Plus is in there. And there's so much more. So shake it and take it. Try it. Think you'll like it. Use that promo code WarChampBOGO. Buy one, get one free. Florida State alums hooking us up, hooking you up. Trying to get the most out of our minutes and of our days with our improved focus thanks to Vitamin Energy. VitaminEnergy.com. Shake it and take it. Shreveport, Noel, what is it going to take to let Corey take control of Aslan's Tinder account for a week? I just don't know if that'll ever happen.
How are you? You're not struggling on your Tinder account, are you?
No.
I feel like you've been at it for so long.
That's
isn't
the problem.
It? Do newbies rotate in, or is it all the same people?
See, that's the problem. Like it's a lot of us misfit toys just keep circling back on that thing, and then you just wait for that random girl that her boyfriend did something dumb and she broke up with him, and it's like, ooh, she's back on the market. Let me pounce. But like when I first would download these apps, it was actually funny because like my friends that had fiancés, it was like handing over your phone to a toddler. Like it would just, we would be talking. I'd be like, oh, here, you can look at my dating apps or whatever. And the girls would get on the phone and they would all be like, oh my God, look at her. And they'd swipe and they'd be like, oh my God. And it was hilarious. Like they love doing it. But the problem is when I boot my phone up, there's like maybe 1 or 2 people a day because I'm just exerting and exhausting all my options. So.
Have you tried Match.com? And they don't advertise with us. They don't sponsor with us. But hey, that's how Stephanie and I met. She was my first and only Match.com date.
I know. I thought it was OkCupid.
No. What is that? No, it's not that. It's Match. It was Match. It was one date and we were hooked. We were all set.
When I was in Mississippi, this was before the apps were around, I tried Match, and I haven't done it since, but maybe I'll check it out. They actually have an app, too. I mean, everything's got an app. I mean, we're warchant.com, but we've got an app.
Right.
Maybe we should do that. You know, your avatar has to be a photo of yourself, and then I can be like, hey, what's up? That wouldn't be creepy.
Right.
We'll see how it goes, Shreveport. No, thanks for showing interest in my dwindling love life. C_Swizzle8. Wake up, gentlemen. Question regarding the wide receiver room and the schedule. Do you think the way the schedule is set up in the first 5 games against teams that we are likely favored against having any impact on the lack of addition, subtraction of receivers in the portal after the spring? I know there wasn't a particularly wow receiver in the portal like Keon, but I think our focus on adding defensive pieces shows that Mike is confident enough in our receivers' development this summer, fall camp, and then through 5 games that the depth of the wide receivers will be playoff quality by the time we play Clemson in Game 6. Go Noles. Which, by the way, good time now, 45 minutes or so into the show, to bring up the fact that last night at his booster stop, Mike Norvell did reveal that Destyn Hill will be lost for the season. We think it's an ACL. I don't think that's what has officially been put on the record, but he says he's going to be out for the entire season, so I'll take this one, Corey, if we get in trouble. But we were actually at practice when he got hurt. We saw like the frustration on his face. I don't remember seeing exactly what he did, but I remember a drill happening or a play, and then him being down and being surrounded by staff and then getting helped off the field. So like we were on site when it happened, but we didn't get an idea for the severity of it. But I think if you've listened to enough of these shows and JCS and headlines, you can probably have read between the lines that there wasn't a lot of optimism around Destyn being ready for the season. So Mike Norvell revealed last night down at his booster stop, which again, he like talks to the media before he goes out into the ballroom and shakes hands with alumni and boosters. He told the assembled media there that indeed Destyn will not be available this upcoming season, which, Corey, I know you saw him maybe turning a corner or being on the rise. Like I didn't necessarily see that, but it's fine. I wasn't saying that it wasn't possible, but I think his story is what's led everybody to really rooting and cheering and hoping that it would have been a breakout year. But I don't know if that was necessarily guaranteed, but you definitely felt that maybe there were some hints of that happening. He started 2 games last year, which I can't believe that. I don't remember that. 10 games he appeared in, graded out at 53, according to Pro Football Focus. Again, bummer just because of the entire story, journey of him to get here. But anyhow, Corey, I think you've kind of shaped your comments on the wide receiver room knowing that he wouldn't be ready this year. So let's get back to, I guess, this whole theory about having enough runway in the first 5 weeks to let this depth build up to be ready, Game 6 Clemson.
I would caution, though, just assuming that it's an easy 5-win stretch until you get to Clemson. Like, Memphis doesn't suck. SMU doesn't suck. And Georgia Tech doesn't suck. And those are 3 of your first 4 or 5 games, I think. They're all losable. Like, I'm not expecting them to lose. I'm not predicting they're going to lose. But they're all losable. You don't – you want to be – my point being, you want to be ready by Ireland. Now, the guys will get better as the season goes on, but you want to be pretty tough to defend when you get to Dublin, not just by the time you get to week 6, because you might be 3-3 or 2-3 or 3-2. So with that being said, I don't – it's interesting. I think Malik Benson has the potential to be a star. I don't know enough about Jaylen Brown. I just don't. No. He didn't do enough in the spring. There's a lot there to like, but he's also a redshirt freshman. It's his second year in college. I don't know what kind of leap he's about to make. I think he's a very talented kid. I think Hakeem is very talented. I also do really like, and they were making fun of me on headlines about it, I think Kentron could be the X factor. I was not overly impressed with how he looked this spring, but I was really impressed with how he looked last spring, and I was impressed how he played in the first half against Georgia when nobody else was doing anything. That said a lot about who he could be, I think. It's also his 5th year, though, and it's time to put up or shut up. You know what I mean? Not that he talks a lot. That was a dumb thing to say, Clark. But he's got 26 catches in his career. He needs to at least double that this year. And I think he can. I think he could be a real player for this team. I think a trio or quartet of Malik Benson at full potential, Kentron Portier at full potential, let's say Hakeem or Jaylen Brown at full potential, and then Ja'Kai, that's a nice quartet. That's not awful. That's hard to guard. That's hard to defend. So, and you hope the other guys just keep raising their level of play. I'm stunned that they all stayed. You're going to have a wide receiver room of legitimately, once there's another freshman coming, right, in the summer?
Yeah.
It's going to be 13 guys, 13 scholarship receivers. Well, out of 13, gosh dog it, 5 of them should be able to go play at a high level. And so hopefully that's what happens.
So, yeah, you think that there's enough runway there to get better.
Yeah, but I want the runway to be in August.
Yeah.
I guess that was my point. Is that you don't need those first 3 games to be runway games because you could lose to Memphis, you could lose to Georgia Tech. You need to have some real bona fide threats at wide receiver going over to Dublin. Not like let's build them up. I think so. The point being, I hope the runway is from April 20th, which was the spring game / showcase, to August 24th. That's a big runway to get these guys ready.
All right, next up, we got Island Chief Wake Up. I'm beginning to think that Norvell's a low-key savage. First, Charles Lester visits Colorado right before he was set to commit, just to deflate them a little bit. Then DJ Lundy commits to Colorado just long enough to catch the next Uber to the airport. And now Duke comes back to play safety after all. I'm sure all just a coincidence, right? Nice. 4 teams on the schedule. Clemson, Notre Dame, Miami, and Florida have composite roster rankings ahead of Florida State in the upcoming season. Only Notre Dame truly a road game. How would you rank these games in terms of your confidence in our winning each? I like this, Corey. I'm going to ask you to turn your camera on in a moment of silence as we fire up the engines, fire up the generator. Let's do it. Let's generate discussion. Generating discussion brought to you by our awesome friends over at Cummins. Go check them out. Cummins Lifestyle on Instagram. Give them a follow. Follow along as they flip RVs, flip regular mortal machines into beasts on the road using Cummins technology and power, an industry power leader, Cummins. Again, Cummins Lifestyle on Instagram, giving you away swag as well, everybody. Which, Corey, by the way, if you join Warchant for $1, you could parlay a membership at Warchant for $1 into getting a question onto the Renegade Express, getting into the drawing for the swag bag, and that $650 portable generator. So roll the dice, everybody. Good payout on those odds. Yeah,
Absolutely. What are you waiting on, folks? What are you waiting on?
Again, Cummins Lifestyle on Instagram. Go give them a follow. All right. So we heard from our guy, Island Chief. I don't know how much I buy into this. I get it, man. I like rankings. It helps us figure things out. But to think that there's 4 teams on this schedule that have better rosters than Florida State, that's a little far-fetched for me, Corey. Clemson, Notre Dame, Miami, and Florida apparently do. Notre Dame is the only team right now in the early lines that's actually favored over Florida State because it's a true road game.
Yeah.
Give me the confidence you've got. Clemson, Notre Dame, Miami, Florida. I'm going to go ahead and put Florida my most confident.
Yeah, me too. I'm with you. I don't know how their roster would be judged to be better than Florida State's. That doesn't make a lot of sense, but whatever. I'm not in that business, so I would say Florida is my most confident victory.
Clemson, Miami is almost like a coin flip. I don't know. Where are you? I'm on a coin flip with those two.
It's so hard, man. Like there is a chance Miami is good, like legitimately good, like challenges for an ACC championship good. But we're at the point now where you have to see it to believe it. As we sit in May, there's no way that I can put even facing Miami on the road is a tougher challenge than facing Clemson. Just Clemson deserves more respect than that. Okay. Even though they are clearly not on the uptick, on the upswing, they deserve more respect than Miami, who's always the kings of something in May. So I'm going to say I'm more confident in the winning at Miami than the Clemson game at home. But it is close because Miami has truly upgraded that roster, and Cam Ward can be a dynamic quarterback and a special quarterback, and that always changes things. But still, I think the Clemson program deserves a little more respect than to be behind Miami. All
right. I mean, just to be contrarian, I'll put Miami below Clemson in terms of my confidence level because I think Cam Ward probably better quarterback, and you're having to go on the road and play in front of 13,000 rabid people.
Right.
So that leaves us at Notre Dame, the least confidence. And I for me, I think it's like, all right, very confident when it comes to Florida, and then Clemson and Miami are, right behind them. And I don't think it's a huge, like, I'm not terrified of Notre Dame, but like, so it's not like, oh boy, fingers, toes, everything crossed. It's kind of like a gradual progression or a dissension, I guess, between all 4 of those teams.
I think Florida is easily the outlier of those 4. I right now, as we talk in May, that doesn't seem like a really nerve-wracking game right now. Again, we'll see what they do. They might be on an interim coach by the time that by the time that game comes around. And so half their key team might be in the portal at that point. You really don't know how they're going to handle that really, really hard schedule. I think Notre Dame, Clemson, and Miami, quite honestly,
Really?
I mean, they're all about the same. To me, they're all about the same. I roster-wise, confidence-wise, for me, they're all going to be tough games. I wouldn't call them coin flips necessarily, but they are all games you can clearly lose if you don't play well. And they're all bowl teams. They're all probably 8 to 9 to 10 win teams. So those are always going to be challenging.
Yeah. I'm curious to think about just Notre Dame, Marcus Freeman. I don't know how talented that roster is going to be, but he obviously makes his bones on the defensive side of the football.
Is Kyle Hamilton still there?
Thankfully,
he left, right? No, he's with the Ravens. Good.
He had that scare in Doak Campbell, and it was like, all right, man, let me get out of here as soon as I possibly can.
That's right.
So yeah, we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I think right now, like Notre Dame is a 1.5 point maybe favorite or something along the lines of that.
I think I saw 3.5, and then Florida State was favored in all those other games. They were like a 2-point favorite against Miami.
Florida State, there was a 1.5 point favorite. You're right, 1.5 point favorite over Miami right now, and then 3.5 or whatever against Notre Dame. So we'll see how it goes. Obviously, rosters in flux.
Can we say this can't be used as a freezing cold take because it's May? It's May. We don't know how any of this is going to shake out. These games are going to be played 4, 5, 6 months from now. But for right now,
dog, Corey. If you're scared, go get a dog.
Hey, man, I go need a dog because I'm scared that this is going to end up on Cold Takes Exposed when Florida goes 12-0 and Napier's the coach of the year.
Well, we'll see about that. Go check it out. Go see what's going on over at Cummins Lifestyle on Instagram. It's all one word. Check them out. Florida State folks up in the high levels of the corporate structure at Cummins, hooking us up, generating discussion. All right, here we go. Back, turn those cameras off. Let's dial in here, Corey. Let's get to the finish line. Tomahawk chopping. Warchant Bogo, longtime listener, first-time subscriber, was recently talking with someone at a 40th birthday party at a local brewery. We had met through a mutual friend at the Players Golf Tournament, and we're talking about golf. My question is, if you all were as good at something the way Scotty Scheffler is at golf, what would it be? And what would that trait or talent be for coach, coordinators, and position coaches? For reference, mine is gene expression. I possess the dominant trait of male pattern baldness and shaved my head age 20 due to strong expression. I believe that competes with many possessing that trait in the world. What are you, in your opinion, of the coaches touting as the Scheffler trait or ability? Eddie, the guy that we met at the birthday party the other day.
Yeah. I was following that along.
Okay.
I kind of thought it was somebody that we had met on Wednesday night or Tuesday night.
I wasn't there for this is an inside joke that I was not a part of. It was an ABC conversation. I saw my way out of it.
That's right. You were probably already over at baseball.
Yeah.
I don't. What are you like one of the best in the world at?
I know you do the pop. I don't know, man. I don't know, and it's sad. Maybe I think I'm really fast and efficient at my job of like editing video, but like that's not going to save the world. That's not going to bring a lot of joy to people. But like Brady being able to tell all the guys on the playground growing up, like my dad can beat your dad at Pop-A-Shot, like that just has more equity, more cachet.
Yeah, and now that I got diagnosed, by the way, I've got arthritis in my shoulder. It's
Okay.
arthritis. It's not. I mean, I've had an impingement, but it's not that. The pain that I feel is arthritis. So right now, it's actually feeling better. So if it starts to feel worse, I might get a cortisone. But right now, it's arthritis. I haven't torn a rotator cuff or anything or a labrum. So
why don't you get the cortisone? Why are you going to wait? Go for it, man.
Well, because she said if you're not feeling bad right now, wait until you are feeling bad and then get the cortisone because it lessens. Sometimes it can lessen if you get more and more shots. So I want the effect to be the most impactful. So my point being with my shoulder now, I don't trust my pop shot abilities. I will say when I was probably, 20, I might have been one of the 5 best in the world. You can't prove that I wasn't, but I was incredible. I would say right now probably like Florida State football trivia.
Okay.
I'm the Scotty Scheffler of Florida State football trivia, I would think.
All right.
I would have said that back in the day about just sports trivia in general, minus hockey and auto racing. But I don't know enough about the current. I don't know enough about the current sports world. Like Brady knows more about, that guy played with the Jazz last year. Now he plays with the Suns. I don't know any of that stuff. But I don't know, man, 1986 to 1999, that pocket, I still feel like I'm one of the strongest in the world at sports trivia. But Florida State football trivia, I know it all from like 80 to now. So I think that's my sweet spot. I'm the Scotty Scheffler of that.
I'll think of it. I'll get back to you guys in 2 weeks. I'll try to do some self-reflection and figure out what it is that I.
By the way, is Scotty Scheffler like the best that we've ever had? Like, this is nuts. I know he's not going to have the career of Tiger and Jack, probably.
Yeah.
But whatever this has been, like a 18-month window where he's either finishing first and second or second in every single tournament he plays is crazy. I guess Tiger did do that. Didn't Tiger win like 8 starts in a row?
Well, yeah, like he had the Tiger Slam, right, where he didn't win all 4 in the same calendar year, but like he ended up winning like the British Open, PGA.
Yeah, he won them all 4 in a row, but then didn't win the Masters again. But or did win the Masters, but then didn't win it, didn't reset. But yeah, I think and he also won. I literally think he won like 8 tournaments in a row, like just regular tournaments. A couple were majors, but just like the BMW one. I mean, that's unbelievable. That's unbelievable. But this is the closest we've had to him.
Oh, yeah.
This is crazy how good Scheffler is.
Random_John bringing in this positivity. Basketball. You mentioned in your opening salvo to solicit questions, Aslan, that it's a ragtag bunch. Why is it a ragtag bunch? Why was there such a mass exodus? Why didn't the athletics department want to help send out the ACC's winningest coach on a high note? Feels like he's been abandoned. Why is that?
Those are all fair questions. I appreciate it. What do you think, Aslan? I think it's just there's nothing to sell, and nobody wants to come play here, and they don't have enough NIL money to make it even competitive.
But, I mean, again, the money that you did allocate to whoever you have, you couldn't have – you were like, I just would rather have a bunch of players that are – grading out at 65 to 70 than try to get one player that might be an 85, like on a scale like a 1 to 100. Like I don't want to call a kid like a 2 on a scale of 1 to 5. Do
you remember what Miami paid for that Nigel Pack kid? It was the Life Wallet guy, Ruiz, and It was public. Like I thought he paid him like $1 million to come from Kansas State to Miami.
$800,000 2-year deal.
So it's like. That's probably the going rate. Maybe it's a little higher now for
inflation. Thanks,
13-point per game guards.
It's a joke. Yeah.
I didn't hear you. I'm sorry, buddy.
That's fine.
13-point per game guards probably are the Primo Spearses of the world are probably in that range, and it's like that's just I was gonna say Leonard should take 80% of his contract and hand it to the NIL, but then that might get him a guard. And I'm talking about guys that can turn this thing into a Sweet 16 team. You need to upload some serious talent, and that in this day and age takes money that apparently Florida State doesn't have. And I say Florida State, you guys know what I mean. Are unwilling to spend on the last year of a deal, last year of a coach's contract where it looks like it's not going to be any good anyway. Why throw money at a problem that can't be fixed? But it's a fair question because I was singing from the mountaintop 6 weeks ago. Take some money and let this guy go out on top. Yeah. Clearly that was not part of the thinking with whoever controls the money for NILs at Florida State basketball. And they have right now, as that roster stands, they have no ability to compete, which is too bad. It's not too bad. It's really sad. And it does bum me out that Leonard Hamilton is going to go out with, unless something drastically changes or they are much better than we think, probably the worst team of his career.
Yeah. Maybe they're allocating the funds for his replacement. So, when they pull away Rick Carlisle from the Pacers, they're like, whoa, all right, it was worth the pain.
Yeah, that's probably what they're going to do. Or maybe, that's not a Brad Stevens. Does he want to get back into college coaching?
He might.
Go get him. I do think also it's hard to sell a program where you don't know who the head coach is going to be.
Stop it. Of course, transfer portal. Like you're not married to Florida State. You'll be here for 1 year.
Not, but some guys want to come and want to know, number one, how much is their coach invested if it's his last year? Do we have a chance to win? Are there other guys that are going to be here for 2 or 3 years if I'm a highly touted freshman? And also don't know what conference you're going to be in. Like, that's hard to sell for the coaching, whoever's going to replace Leonard. Like, how do you sell to a coach, come to Florida State, we don't know what conference you're going to be coaching in next year, and we don't know what kind of players you're going to have. It's all, man, it's in flux and it's gross, and I hate it. I hate it. Like, Florida State football has benefited greatly from the portal in NIL, clearly, and that's number one, and that takes precedent over everything, and that's made this show much more popular than it was 5 years ago, so I am all for the NIL and the portal and everything and what it's done for Warchant, what it's done for Florida State athletics, and what it's done specifically for the football team, but it has absolutely killed the basketball program.
Yeah. Helped baseball, though, so we're two out of
2 for 3, yeah, but it absolutely killed the basketball program.
Armchair Osceola, wake up as we enter the summer doldrums. Questions tend to shift from practical to whimsical. In that vein, given our current basketball roster, perhaps we can auction raffle tickets for 10 minutes of live playing time on the hard courts for one lucky Cummins lifestyle follower. All proceeds go to buying a shooting guard. Non-conference game, obviously. Question, Aslan. With your video background and the rise of Instagram, TikTok impacting traditional sports media channels, how will it impact Warchant? I realize we probably skew older, but future subscribers are more inclined to these modes of media. Perhaps Warchant needs a TikTok channel. We could even have Ira and Corey dancing the jig, Jeff and Tom ad-libbing for likes. The opportunities are endless. Go Noles. Yeah, I probably should download TikTok, but I don't have it. And it seems to bring joy to a lot of people. I just don't know what we do, how much of it translates. And I get the next generation is all on TikTok, right? Like all the tweens and the people that are going to pay my retirement.
Right.
They're the ones that are on TikTok. But I just don't know how disseminating news on there. And I know a lot of people actually get their political news from TikTok. It's like a whole funny thing, but I just don't know how what we do would translate over there. Unless we did like really funny stuff where we pulled out Mike Norvell audio and we had Corey lip syncing, yelling at Brady with Norvell's words coming out of Corey's mouth. But I don't know how, do we monetize that? It gets a bunch of shares and likes, but does that put money in our pocket? I mean, obviously.
So I listen to comedy.
But.
I listen to comedy podcasts, and they say that what TikTok does is just drive interest in their brand, quote unquote. And so our brand, we have the website, obviously, and we have a lot of members, and we have a very active message board, which is the lifeblood of the website, obviously. But also, I think the only thing TikTok would do for us, we can't monetize it. In fact, it might not even exist in 6 weeks. Who the heck knows what's going on with that company? But getting people to the YouTube channel, that's what TikTok would do. That was a funny clip. Right. Who are these guys? Or that was funny. Let me go watch that whole episode. Or, man, I hate him. I want to hate watch him. Oh, he's an idiot, but let me see how big of an idiot is. Whatever it is to drive people to your YouTube channel is probably the only way we could use TikTok.
All right, handful more. We're getting close. Okay. R-Sans7, wake up, gents. Long-time listener, first-time poster. Welcome, R-Sans. All the talk about NIL and transfer portal always makes me think, are there not kids out there that grew up loving Florida State and want nothing more than to play at Doak, wearing garnet and gold, spear on the helmet, regardless of what they were offered elsewhere? Call me old-fashioned, but I would take Coach Mike Norvell and the Noles over going to another school for some extra change. Thanks for making the mornings more enjoyable. Go Noles.
Yeah, again, I don't disagree. I would say that there are some of those out there. I think by and large, a lot of football players just dream of getting to the NFL more than I want to go play for that college football program. I think a lot of it is I want to go play for the Ravens or the Chiefs or whoever else. So, I don't know how much money – I don't know how much the college life and the history and tradition of a college, they want to go win when they go to college, but I don't know if it's it's in their blood like it is for me or like it is for Aslan, perhaps. I could be wrong. I don't know. I don't really talk to these kids about their love of Florida State all that much. But if it's a difference of, look, man, for Omarion Cooper, let's say Colorado offered him I'm throwing out a number. I have no idea if this even is remotely accurate. $15,000 more a year to go play in Boulder, Colorado, as opposed to what he was going to get in Tallahassee. Well, yeah, that's a dumb move in my opinion. Number one, you're going to a school that's going to lose a lot of games. It's all about the coach and his kids. You got a lot of attention early, and then you lost 8 in a row. Meanwhile, the team you left just went 13-0. And you did all that. You moved to that cold-ass climate for an extra $15,000. But what if it was $150,000? Well, yeah, most 20-year-olds are going to change location for an extra $150,000 or extra $100,000. So I think it's, everything being equal or close to equal, yes, I think Florida State sells itself. That's why, again, all those receivers stayed except Bandravius. All those linemen stayed that aren't going to play this year. Like, Florida State has done a good job of kind of selling itself and enveloping the guys that are in the program to stay. But at the same time, if you're going to get offered $100,000 extra or $200,000 extra to go to another school, yeah, it's hard to criticize. Because look, man, coaches leave. Mike Norvell apparently almost left for Alabama. Coaches leave all the time too for more money.
Yeah, things are being valued.
I get the sentiment, and I agree. I'm old-fashioned too, and I agree. I get it. I'm not diminishing the sentiment at all. I understand it. It's just part of the new age and new world order of this sport to look at it through a different lens. But yeah, I mean, money is always talked.
Yeah.
$10,000 shouldn't talk that much, in my opinion. But $100,000, add an extra zero, and that's going to talk a lot more.
Yeah, I mean, imagine if NIL was around in the 80s. Like, does the dynasty ever happen? I mean, people wanted to come play for Bobby because you won at Florida State and you went to the pros. Yeah, they like Doak. They like the colors of the jersey and the spear and all that. But I don't even want to name an all-time great, but just think about an all-time great. Does he come to Florida State or does he go to LSU? Because LSU had a well-heeled booster in 1985 that could get a guy, or 89. It is a different world. I get it. And that used to be when I first got on Warchant, Corey, like in 2002 and 2003, and you read the updates that Gene would post with like Antonio Cromartie or Ernie Sims about the recruitment process. And you might thought that under the surface there was something else going on in terms of inducements or whatever, but it was all about like, I want to play for Coach Bowden. Like, it's my hometown team. Like, I want to play for that program. That stuff was cool. And that's what made you fall in love with the sport. And that was the cool thing. Like, these guys came to a university the same reason that you did. Like, they love the way the campus looked. They love the football team. They went to the same classes that you did. They hung out the same bars that you did. And now that's just not. They're completely almost detached from the student athlete experience or the student experience.
But don't you think some of that too is like, let's use Omarion Cooper as an example. Like, last year, he thought he was going to be the starting corner. He had been a cornerback in 2021 and 22. And then you go recruit Fentrell Cypress. Yeah. It's like, okay, well, where do I stand? Where do I fit in? Now you're moving me to safety after I've given you 2 years of being a corner? So it does, these guys that we all want to be loyal to Florida State for the love of the school and the love of the coach, well, they are getting portaled over too. So it's not like they're, you know what I mean? So there is a reason sometimes, maybe even more than money, is like, okay, I'm never going to play college football if I stay here. Sometimes. Like, Florida State hasn't really lost a lot, anybody other than like Durden that you, and Fagan, I guess, that first year where you're like, man, they would have played a lot. They would have started. They were set to start. They have not lost a lot of starters, but they've had guys leave because they portaled over them with better players. So there's, you want them to stay even though they're not going to get a chance to play much. It's, I just think it works both ways when you look at it from that angle. Like, yeah, you want them to be loyal, but is the coaching staff being loyal to them by bringing in Fentrell Cypress or bringing in Cam Riley or bringing Duke Cooper back? Are they being loyal to Ashlyn Barker? Does Ashlyn, but we want Ashlyn Barker to stay, but they just recruited a safety to come take his place, theoretically? That's all. It's a crazy time, man. It is an absolutely crazy time. Imagine being on the Falcons. You've signed your contract. You've already had your practice, and then you find out that the starting safety from the Rams is coming. And you're like, oh, great. Now what? But I can't leave. I'm signed. I'm a guy. What do I do now?
I thought you were going to say, imagine you're the Falcons and you just signed a big free agent quarterback and getting ready.
And then you go and that would probably have been a better example.
And they end up drafting a quarterback in the first round.
The number 8 pick is another quarterback. Awesome. I still can't get over that. That makes me madder than the suspended license.
Seminole Carroll. Wake up, boys. Wake up, Warchant, rise and shine. Seems that college football is changing by the second as we wake up daily in this warp speed mode of operation. Who knows what's going to happen next? If colleges do receive the allotted monies of around $20 million in revenue sharing to pay players, I've heard you talk about that. I've also read that there would be certain stipulations if that were to be the case. Maybe things like not being able to opt out of bowl games, restrictions on players placing demands on them where they have to play in the bowl game. What other stipulations would you like to see placed on players if the money is ultimately revenue shared?
Look, man, if it's revenue shared, there has to be contracts.
Yeah, I want transparency, man. I want terms, man. I want numbers. I want names. I want transparency. That's all.
That's fine too, but I just want there has to be some stability introduced into this sport where if you're making, so I just looked it up, if you're getting $20 million, and that's just a broad number, and you're dividing it over 85 scholarship players, or in Florida State's case, 106, how many ever they have, it's $235,000 per player. Right. So with that, you were getting $235,000 of the university's money. Well, with that, you sign a, let's say it has to be a minimum 2-year deal. So you're guaranteed of making $470,000 as a Florida State football player. And I know some of you are driving off the road right now, but you are guaranteed of making that even if you are a third-string safety. But you're also guaranteed of being tied to that contract and not being able to leave until that contract is up. Every single walk of life in this country. Jeff Cameron had a non-compete clause before he joined Warchant when he was at another radio station, where he could leave that radio station, but he couldn't go anywhere for 6 weeks or 6 months. Other than college athletics, there are contracts that actually matter. Well,
let me ask you though, Corey. Like, won't the players realize that probably they've got it as good as they've ever had it right now, and they don't want to go? Like, can the players be like, actually, never mind, we don't want to unionize. We like it the way it is, or do schools have the power to ultimately say, this is not sustainable, we're actually okay doing revenue sharing and giving you all this money? We insist.
Yeah, I think you insist. I don't know how that would play out in court, or who would even be making the decisions for the players. But I think you basically insist as an entity, as a conference, or as the NCAA, and say this is the way we're moving forward. You can still get NIL money, but it's only going to be enforceable NIL contracts that are actually used for jersey sales or a TV commercial that we actually see. You know what I mean? Like, not just we're paying you to come to this school. Otherwise, because I do the math, man. I just did the math. So if you stay for 4 years at Florida State under that current contract, you are guaranteed of $1 million.
But are you paying your tuition and everything though, or is that in addition?
No, it's an addition. You get a scholarship for 4 years, and you get to take home $1 million.
You get $235,000 a year to walking around money. Okay,
basically.
Yeah.
So, but the counter is you can't then leave willy-nilly whenever you want. Yeah. Now you can be cut, and then you still get that. You would still get that money unless you go to another school. But otherwise, but I guess my point is, like, yeah, right now, a Cam Ward, that's a pay cut for him. He's making more than $235,000. The third-string Miami quarterback on that roster is raising his hand in a heartbeat to say, I want to vote for that deal.
Yeah.
Because right now he's making $11,000 or none, and he's guaranteed of making $1 million for 4 years, even if he never plays it down, as long as he stays on the team. So to me, that's what's got to happen, and there's got to be the money is the money, man. I don't care if it's $1 million or $5 million per player. I don't really care. It's the instability of not knowing your roster from week to week. Like, literally, Florida State just got a kid that left Auburn, and what, did he go to NC State for the spring?
Yeah.
And now he left again. So NC State, the window's over. Now they're looking for a linebacker because the kid that they thought they had replaced Peyton Wilson with, just up and bounced. Just because there's no guardrails to keep them there. So, that's just I would love anything to give this sport some actual stability where you can start kind of projecting what your team is going to be a year or 2 years from now and not just having to dive headfirst into the portal every December.
I'm a hater. It's the money, man. It's the money.
I know, man. I know. You're not. You've never been a capitalist. You never have. You've been anti-capitalism your whole life.
Tennis ump. Last one, Corey. We made it.
We did do it. All right.
Wake up. Who do you think, or rather, who do you see as our punt returner and our 2 kickoff returners? Thank you as always for what you do.
It's a fair, easy question. I think punt returner will be Malik Benson.
Okay.
That's who got the most looks. I think they like having a guy that they trust to catch the ball. And I think the kick returners are Jalen Lucas and Deuce Spann.
Okay. Yeah, well, I mean, LaWayne McCoy, Kai Bates, we saw fielding some punts. I think Ja'Kai also might have been in the kickoff, and Roydell Williams is in the mix. Cam Davis I saw a few times, but that sounds about right. Yeah, that sounds about right.
I think Lucas and Spann are automatic at kicks, right? Lucas was an All-American. He's got 3 kick return touchdowns in his career. I think those 2 are automatic. The punt return is the one that'll be debatable. Maybe they'll try Toafili again.
Yeah. I mean, he was returning kicks every now and then, so.
Well, no, he was the punt returner to start last August.
Oh,
that was the guy they were going with, and then he struggled mightily.
Right.
And they went to Keon because he could catch him.
And that worked out all right. All right, we're done for the show and also for the week, but we'll be chock full of shows for you next week as well. I'll be out of town, taking a vacation. First legit vacation since 2020, Corey. So I'm looking forward to it, but we would not leave you in the lurch.
And the last time you came back from a vacation, COVID hit. Yeah, the world ended. So let's hope this one goes a little better.
Avian flu's out there right now. Bird flu's out there. So if it does blow up, it's not my fault. It's already out there.
Right, okay,
don't blame me for it. So obviously go to warchant.com for everything that you need. Timely, accurate, and delivered with panache.
Why did you go to Wuhan that year anyway? That didn't even make any sense, Aslan. Who vacations in Wuhan?
I got catfished, man. She said she lived in Beijing. And,
Gotcha. Understood.
So, yeah. All right. But we should have LaMarcus Joyner on the show. We got Jim Nagy from the Senior Bowl talking about what Mike Norvell's built here. We got James Tibbs will be part of it. Might also have Miami and Florida folks to give us the lowdown on how their dumpster fires are smelling this time of year. So subscribe, everybody. You know when the shows are dropping. He's Corey. I'm Aslan. Thanks for listening to Wake Up Warchant, presented by the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.